Los Angeles 1977, a sprawling metropolis, known for its glitz and glamour, where dreams were made and broken. The city was a beacon for those seeking fame and fortune, a place where the American dream seemed within reach. But as the sun set and the city lights flickered on, a different Los Angeles emerged, a city of dreams, bathed in the golden glow of Hollywood. The iconic Hollywood sign stood tall, a symbol of hope and aspiration. Hollywood Boulevard buzzed with life, its bright lights and bustling streets a testament to the city's allure. Yet for every star that shone brightly, there were countless others who faded into obscurity. But beneath the glamour, a darkness lurked. The back streets and alleyways told a different story, one of desperation and danger. Shadows moved stealthily, and the air was thick with an unspoken tension. It was a city of contrasts, where the line between dreams and nightmares was often blurred. The air, thick with smog and unease. The infamous Los Angeles smog cast a pall over the city, a constant reminder of its environmental struggles. Streetlights struggled to pierce through the haze, creating an eerie, almost surreal atmosphere. It was as if the city itself was suffocating under the weight of its own contradictions. The streets, alive with whispers of something sinister, conversations in hushed tones, furtive glances, and the ever-present sense of being watched. It was a city on edge, where trust was a rare commodity. The whispers hinted at a growing menace, an evil that was slowly taking root. An evil was about to rise, casting a long, terrifying shadow over the city of angels. The signs were there for those who knew where to look. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, both literally and metaphorically. The city was on the brink of a nightmare, one that would leave an indelible mark on its history. The late 70s were a time of change and uncertainty. The cultural landscape was shifting, and with it, the mood of the city. People walked the streets in their bell-bottoms and platform shoes, trying to hold on to a sense of normalcy. But beneath the surface, there was a growing sense of unease. The Vietnam War had left its scars, and a sense of disillusionment hung heavy in the air. The war had taken its toll on the nation, and Los Angeles was no exception. Protests and demonstrations were common, as people grappled with the aftermath of a conflict that had divided the country. The city's residents were weary, their optimism eroded by years of turmoil. Disco music blared from every radio, a fleeting distraction from the growing anxieties of the time. The pulsating beats and vibrant rhythms provided a temporary escape, a way to forget the troubles of the world, if only for a moment. Nightclubs were packed with people dancing the night away, seeking solace in the music and the company of others. Amidst this backdrop of unease, a nightmare was about to unfold. The city's vibrant facade was about to be shattered, revealing the darkness that lay beneath. The empty streets at night took on a more sinister tone, as if they were holding their breath, waiting for the inevitable. The city of angels, once a beacon of hope and opportunity, was about to become synonymous with terror. The storm clouds gathered, casting long shadows over the city's landmarks. The Hollywood sign, once a symbol of dreams, now seemed to foretell a grim future. The city was on the brink of a transformation, one that would forever alter its identity. The Hillside Stranglers were about to etch their names in the annals of criminal history, forever changing the landscape of fear in Los Angeles. Their reign of terror would leave an indelible mark on the city, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath even the brightest of lights. The city of angels would never be the same again. October 17, 1977. It was a day like any other, or so it seemed. The city of Los Angeles was bustling with its usual energy, unaware of the dark cloud that was about to descend upon it. The day the nightmare began. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the city, an eerie stillness took hold. The streets, usually filled with the sounds of life, seemed unusually quiet, as if the city itself sensed the impending doom. A jogger made a grim discovery on a hillside overlooking the city. The early morning light did little to soften the horror of what lay before them. The serene view of the city below was starkly contrasted by the gruesome scene on the hillside. A young woman's body lay discarded, her lifeless eyes staring blankly at the heavens. The scene was haunting, a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the presence of evil. Her name was Yolanda Washington, the first victim of a terrifying reign of terror. Yolanda was more than just a name in the headlines. She was a daughter, a friend, a young woman with dreams and aspirations. Yolanda, a bright and beautiful young woman, had been brutally murdered. Her smile, once full of life, was now a memory cherished by those who knew her. The brutality of her death left a scar on the community, a wound that would take time to heal. Her body bore the marks of torture, her life extinguished in a horrific manner. The details of her suffering were too gruesome to comprehend, painting a picture of unimaginable pain and cruelty. The city gasped in horror as news of the murder spread like wildfire. The media coverage was relentless, each headline more shocking than the last. The community was in a state of shock, struggling to come to terms with the reality of the situation. This was no ordinary crime. It was the work of a predator, cold and calculating. The police were on high alert, knowing they were dealing with a dangerous individual who showed no remorse. Fear gripped the hearts of young women across Los Angeles. The sense of safety that once existed was shattered, replaced by a pervasive fear that lingered in every shadow and dark corner. The image of Yolanda's lifeless body on that hillside served as a chilling reminder that evil lurked in the shadows. Memorials began to appear, flowers and candles marking the spot where her life was so cruelly taken. The city held its breath, bracing itself for what was to come. The police increased their patrols, and the community banded together, hoping to find solace in unity. But the fear remained, a constant reminder of the darkness that had descended upon Los Angeles. Behind the terror that gripped Los Angeles were two men, Kenneth Bianchi and Angelo Buono. Their reign of terror would leave an indelible mark on the city, casting a long shadow over its streets and its people. The fear they instilled was palpable, a dark cloud that hung over the city, suffocating its residents with dread. Cousins by blood, they were bound by a shared darkness, a perverse appetite for control and violence. Their bond was more than familial, it was a sinister alliance forged in the depths of their twisted psyches. Together, they would embark on a path of destruction that would forever alter the landscape of criminal history. They were the Hillside Stranglers, their names forever etched in the annals of criminal history. The media frenzy that surrounded their crimes only added to their infamy, turning them into the stuff of nightmares. Their heinous acts were splashed across headlines, a grim reminder of the evil that lurked in the shadows. Kenneth Bianchi, a handsome young man with a troubled past, hid a sinister secret behind his charming facade. His outward appearance belied the darkness within, a darkness that would soon be unleashed upon an unsuspecting city. Bianchi's charm was his weapon, a tool he used to manipulate and deceive those around him. A drifter and a con artist, he possessed a dangerous combination of intelligence and ruthlessness. His ability to blend in, to appear normal, was perhaps his most terrifying trait. It allowed him to move through society undetected, a predator hiding in plain sight. His cunning and resourcefulness made him a formidable foe for law enforcement. Angelo Buono, older and more physically imposing, exuded an air of quiet menace. His presence was intimidating, his demeanor cold and calculating. Buono's influence over Bianchi was profound, shaping the younger man's descent into darkness. Together they formed a deadly duo, each feeding off the other's malevolence. A domineering personality, he found a willing accomplice in his younger cousin. Buono's control over Bianchi was absolute, a master manipulating his puppet. Their partnership was a perfect storm of evil, a combination of brains and brawn that would prove deadly for their victims. Together, they embarked on a murderous rampage that would terrorize Los Angeles. Their crimes were methodical, their actions calculated. The city was gripped by fear, its residents living in constant terror of becoming the next victim. The police were baffled, the public horrified, as the body count continued to rise. Their modus operandi was chillingly efficient. They would stalk their prey, selecting their victims with care. Once chosen, the women stood little chance against the duo's combined strength and cunning. The precision with which they executed their crimes left little evidence, making it difficult for authorities to track them down. They would target young women, using their charm and good looks to lure them into a false sense of security. The victims, unsuspecting and trusting, were easy prey for the predators. The facade of normalcy that Bianchi and Buono presented was disarming, making it all the more shocking when their true intentions were revealed. Once they had their victims trapped, the true nature of their depravity would be revealed. The horror that followed was unimaginable, a descent into a nightmare from which there was no escape. The brutality of their actions left a lasting scar on the city, a grim reminder of the evil that can lurk behind even the most charming of facades. Days turned into weeks, and the body count rose. The victims, all young women, were found strangled, their bodies discarded in the hills surrounding the city. Los Angeles was in the grip of terror, the Hillside Stranglers holding the city hostage in a nightmare of their own making. Fear permeated every aspect of life in Los Angeles. Women were afraid to go out alone, their every move shadowed by the fear of becoming the next victim. The once vibrant city seemed to hold its breath, paralyzed by the reign of terror unleashed by the Hillside Stranglers. The police were under immense pressure to catch the killers. The investigation intensified, with hundreds of officers working tirelessly to track down the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. The city waited with bated breath, hoping against hope for a swift end to the nightmare. The LAPD, overwhelmed by the scale of the murders and the media frenzy surrounding them, formed a special task force. Every resource was dedicated to catching the Stranglers. Detectives worked day and night, following every lead, however small, in a desperate race against time. The pressure was immense. The city demanded justice, the victims' families desperate for closure. The investigation took on a personal significance for the detectives involved. They were not just chasing shadows, they were hunting monsters. The investigation, however, was fraught with challenges. The Stranglers were meticulous, leaving little to no evidence at the crime scenes. Frustration mounted as every lead seemed to turn into a dead end. But the detectives refused to give up. They knew that somewhere out there, amidst the sprawling metropolis, lay the answers they so desperately sought. A break in the case came from an unexpected source, Kenneth Bianchi himself. Driven by a desire to escape justice and perhaps fueled by a twisted sense of self-preservation, he committed a fatal error. He struck again, but this time in Washington state, leaving behind a crucial clue that would unravel the entire conspiracy. Bianchi's attempt to start a new life quickly unraveled. His crimes in Washington bore striking similarities to the Hillside Strangler murders. When questioned by the police, Bianchi's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. He cracked under pressure, revealing his role in the Los Angeles murders and implicating his unsuspecting cousin. Bianchi's confession sent shockwaves through the investigation. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place. The manhunt for Angelo Buono intensified, the net closing in on the remaining Hillside Strangler.